Good morning and welcome to Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. I hope everyone is doing well on this Friday morning. We've got lots and lots to discuss on today's show. But before we get into that, please do me a small favour. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. I'll be live every single day throughout the transfer window, so make sure you go and do that right now. It doesn't cost you any money. And also drop a like on today's video. We're trying to hit 500 likes. Go and do that now and we will easily reach that target. On the show this morning, we are going to be reacting to a story that came out last night suggesting that Manchester United have rejected 3 bids for Marcus Rashford. So we'll be talking about that. We'll also be talking about a potential opportunity for Manchester United to do a swap deal involving Marcus Rashford and Victor Osimhen. And we'll also be reacting to a story suggesting that 2 players are set to leave Manchester United in the coming days. So we'll talk about that. As always, I invite you to get in the comments section. Let me know your thoughts on everything we discuss on today's show. And the question for today's video is this. It's a simple one. Would you swap Marcus Rashford in exchange for Victor Osimhen? Let me know in the comment section. Go and write your answer right now. Very interested to see what the Manchester United fan base think about this potential opportunity. So let's start the show off right there. Let's talk about Victor Osimhen and let's talk about Marcus Rashford. So this is coming out from multiple different people this morning. Some reliable, some not so reliable. So The Sun are reporting it. Manchester Evening News are reporting it. A couple of other places are reporting it as well. And the headline is this, that Marcus Rashford is at the centre of a stunning swap deal involving Victor Osimhen. It says Antonio Conte's interest in Rashford has now opened the door to Manchester United signing Victor Osimhen. So obviously, Osimhen is a Napoli player currently on loan in the Turkish league at Galatasaray. And the story suggesting that Antonio Conte, who is obviously the Napoli manager, wants to bring Rashford to Napoli, and that Manchester United would effectively swap Rashford in exchange for Victor Osimhen. So obviously you can let me know in the comment section whether you would do this swap deal or not. For me personally, I would definitely do this swap deal. I think Victor Osimhen is exactly the kind of player we need by way of his attributes, by way of what he could bring to the team. He's a proper number 9. He's fast. He gets a lot of goals. He's got 9 goals and 3 assists so far this season in 11 matches. Yes, it's the Turkish league, but you know that's still a decent return. That's 12 goals in 11 games. 12 goals and assists in 11 games. So he's averaging, a goal or an assist every game pretty much at the moment, which is decent. And I know people are going to say, "Oh, it's the Turkish league. He won't be able to do it in the Premier League." But I'm confident in Osimhen. I think he's a decent player. He proved in the Serie A that he was, of a good quality for a long time. And even at the international level, I know, again, some of the teams that Nigeria play maybe aren't the best, but he has got 21 goals in 35 games for Nigeria. So, he is a proper goal scorer, and that's what we need. Rasmus Højlund, for me, is still a prospect. He's still somebody for the future, whereas Victor Osimhen is the finished product, realistically. He's in his prime, 26 years of age. Same age as Marcus Rashford, interestingly enough. I think Rashford is 26, isn't he? Is that right? Or has he just turned 27? He's just turned 27, Rashford. But they're very similar ages anyway. Probably on similar amount of wages. Let's have a little look at their wages. I think Osimhen's on big money, isn't he? Let's have a look. So Osimhen's wages at Napoli are... Oh, they're less. He's on about 200,000 a week at Napoli. Obviously, Rashford's on closer to 300,000. So the wages are a little bit different. So it would probably have to be, we would give them Rashford probably plus a little bit of money, I imagine. Because obviously the difference in the wages, Napoli would be sat there saying, well, yes, we're interested, but if we sign Rashford, our wage bill is going to go up, realistically. Think about it. Because obviously, if Rashford's on 300k at Man United and Osimhen's only on 200k at Napoli, Rashford's going to want the same type of money, isn't he? So I think it would be a really good move for everybody. I think Rashford would do well in the Italian league. Obviously, Napoli are having a good season at the moment. They're joint top of the Serie A alongside Atalanta, and I think he'd be a really, really good signing for them. So I hope that this one happens. Whether it will or not still remains to be seen. Will Victor Osimhen want to come to Manchester United? That's the bigger question. I think from what I've heard, he's quite enjoying his time out in the Turkish league, and he's doing quite well there. So that's more of the bigger question. It's not whether there's a desire for Man United to sign Osimhen and Napoli to sign Marcus Rashford. It's more, how will they facilitate this deal? But yeah, let me know what you think about that one. Very interested to see what you guys think about Victor Osimhen. Somebody in the chat says Victor Osimhen has lots of off-field issues, though. That's a fair point, but so does Marcus Rashford. So it's, I don't know. But let's see what else people are saying in the chat. Darren says it will be a swap deal just in principle. United will still claim a fee for the financial fair play rules. Yeah, I think that's probably how they would do it, yeah. Somebody says, do you consider Rashford a legend of Manchester United? No, definitely not. I wouldn't consider Marcus Rashford a legend, no. Would you put him in the same categories as like the Ryan Giggs, the Rooneys, the Scholes, the Roy Keanes? I honestly don't think I would, no. Not in the slightest. I'm sorry. I like Rashford. I did like Rashford for a long time. I thought he was a decent player, but yeah, there's no way on earth that I'm putting Marcus Rashford in the same category as players like that. I'm sorry. He just doesn't have the same mentality as those types of players. He's a good footballer and he's done well for Manchester United over the years, and he's helped us to win not titles. He's helped us to win, FA Cups, things like that. Great, but he's definitely not a legend. Somebody in the chat saying, what about a 6-month loan deal for Dani Olmo? We spoke about Dani Olmo on the show yesterday. Like, the situation with Olmo is simple. Barcelona are still battling to try and register him because at the moment they're not able to. But at the moment, Dani Olmo wants to stay in Barcelona, even if he can't play football for 6 months, which is a little bit surprising. But I don't think there's any truth in Man United going for Dani Olmo, to be honest. And if Dani Olmo does become available, I think the likelihood of Manchester United getting Dani Olmo is very slim because there'll be so many teams lining up to sign Dani Olmo. And I think realistically at the moment, Manchester United aren't in the best position to be bringing a player like Dani Olmo to the club, I guess arguably it would only be a loan deal. So if it doesn't, it's not like he's actually signing for Manchester United. He would just be coming until Barcelona could register him. But yeah, I just can't see it happening. I get why the story's being linked to Manchester United, the Dani Olmo one, because he's effectively available. But yeah, I just don't see it personally. Jurgen says Osimhen will have the same problem as Rasmus. Nobody will feed him the ball. Maybe. I mean, but we can't just carry on like this and be like, oh, we can't sign any strikers because they don't give them the ball. I don't think we can really work like that. If anything, you need to then bring players in around who will give them the ball. So yeah, I don't think that's really an argument not to sign a player, to be honest. And the thing as well with Højlund is, right, people always say, oh, he doesn't get service. His hold-up play is not very good, let's be honest. Half the time when the ball comes to him, it bounces off him. Half the time he's just wrestling the defenders, not actually. Do you know what I mean? It's Højlund's all-round play that needs working on. It's not like, he's amazing at holding up the ball, bringing others into the game, and he's not getting any opportunities. I think all of Rasmus Højlund's play is a bit questionable at times. But yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you think that, his hold-up play is good, but I don't personally. What else have we got in the chat? Somebody says, instead of signing Olmo, it would make a lot of sense to pay lower transfer fees and bring somebody they need to get rid of, like Araujo. Yeah, that's a fair point. I mean, there's even stories this morning saying that Barcelona are trying to sell us Frankie de Jong again, which is mental. That we're still talking about Frankie de Jong in 2025. I would not take Frankie de Jong at Manchester United now. Not a hope in hell. No way. Definitely not. But yeah, apparently Barcelona are trying to sell us Frankie de Jong. I mean, can you really blame them? He's on, I think, £500,000 a week. He's injured most of the time. I think he's now getting into his late 20s, isn't he, Frankie de Jong? I mean, I wouldn't want Frankie de Jong anywhere near Manchester United. For me personally, it would be a massive mistake. And I'd be honestly stunned if Man United went anywhere near him. I don't think they will. But I get your point. We should probably, be looking at some of the more suitable players at Barcelona, like an Araujo would be interesting, somebody like that. But they're not going to sell those players. They're only going to sell the players that they don't want, like a Frankie de Jong. That's the point that I'm making. So, yeah. Breaking news says, what about Cunha from Wolves? I think Cunha from Wolves would be a great signing, but I can't see it happening, to be honest. I just think the amount of money that Wolves would want would be astronomical. They paid 50 million for him, remember? So it's not like they got him for a couple of million and they'll sell him for 50 and make loads of profit. They literally got him. They literally paid Atletico Madrid 50 million for Matheus Cunha. So, if they were to sell him, then they're going to want probably 60, 70 million, which just makes the deal pretty impossible to do because he's only improved since he's come to Wolves. He's, at Atletico Madrid, he wasn't actually scoring that many goals and he came to Wolves and has jumped up a whole nother level. But let's move on to the Rashford offers that have been rejected. So this is coming out from Chris Wheeler in the Daily Mail this morning. And he is reporting that apparently Marcus Rashford has rejected 3 different bids to join Saudi Pro League clubs. Apparently they've offered him £35 million per season, which sounds like a lot of money, but it's probably not actually that much more than what he's earning now, is it? Let me have a look. It is, to be fair. Yeah, it's like double what he's earning now. It's like 700 grand a week, about tax-free, which is pretty mad, to be fair. He's on 300 grand a week here in England, probably having to pay about 50% of that in tax. So he probably only takes home I say only, it's still crazy amounts of money. If Rashford's on 300 grand a week in England, right, his take-home pay is probably like around 100 to 150 grand a week because obviously the tax in England's really high. Whereas in Saudi, he wouldn't be taxed. So he'd take home 700,000 a week tax-free, which is mental, isn't it? But apparently he doesn't want to go there. Apparently he wants to stay in what he describes as a competitive league. So that's like the Bundesliga, Serie A, La Liga, etc. Because he wants to get back into the England team. That's his kind of desire. And he knows that if he goes to, say, the Turkish league or the Saudi Arabian league or the MLS, that effectively his international career will be over. I think it already is over at the moment because there are so many better players in Rashford's position already in the England team, although Rashford has always been quite good for England, to be fair. So I'm not going to criticise him there, but the thing is though, right? I get that argument that I don't want to go to the Saudi league because I'm not going to then get back into the England team. But as it stands, he's not going to get back into the Man United team. So what's better? To be sat on the bench or not even, to be sat at home, not even in the matchday squad for Manchester United, or to be playing every single week in the Saudi league? I mean, surely playing football is better than not playing football. But then Chris Wheeler also goes on to say that apparently Marcus Rashford is now determined to get back into the Manchester United team. I honestly think this would be the biggest mistake we could make. We've got a point here where we have Marcus Rashford effectively in a position where he is looking like he's going to leave, which is the correct decision for everybody. Whether it's from clearing the massive wages he's on, whether it's trying to generate some funds because he would be 100% profit, whether it's removing a player who's been here for the last, 8 or 9 years and has been a major part of managers being sacked and failure. There's loads of different arguments. Obviously, then we're not even talking about the off-field, the Belfast situation, the not training properly, all these other things that have caused unnecessary issues for Manchester United. I don't want him to now suddenly say, oh, I'm going to start trying again. I mean, that's effectively him saying that he can just turn it on and off like a switch, isn't it? He's effectively saying that, oh, I wasn't motivated before, but now I've realised that the only people who want me are Saudi. Oh, I'll train properly now. I mean, that's not what I want. I would just be saying, you know what, you've had your chance. You're playing for the biggest club in the world. You're supposedly a boyhood Man United fan. You've disrespected the club. You've disrespected the fans, the badge. It's time for you to go. It's as simple as that. Thank you for everything. Goodbye. There doesn't have to be any hard feelings. Wish you all the best. And that's what Man United need to do. If they're going to be serious moving forward, if they're going to be vigilant, if they're going to be a team that's going to build for the future, they need to make these tough decisions. And it's not just Rashford, by the way. There's lots and lots of players that are in the same situation. Luke Shaw, what's going on with him? We see Luke Shaw making TikTok videos with Tommy Fury's ex Molly May. It's just embarrassing. They need to be brutal. They need to be ruthless. They need to move on players. Mason Mount, what's going on with him? Other people, there's other ones probably I've forgotten as well. There's loads and loads of players, Casemiro, etc., etc. All these players, we've lost 4 games out of the last 5 in the Premier League. It's an absolute disgrace. So, for Rashford now to turn around and say, oh, the only people who want me is Saudi. Oh, okay, I'll try now. Like, that's not good enough. I'm sorry. It's just simply not good enough. We have got over 400 people watching the video live, which is absolutely amazing. I've set a likes target of 500 for this episode. So if you haven't liked the video already, please go and do that right now. And if this is your first time watching, make sure you subscribe as well. I've just dropped a link into the chat to do that. We are very close to hitting 40,200 subscribers. So please go and do that and make sure to like the video. It really helps the channel out. Stephanie says, didn't Ruben Neves go to Saudi? Yeah, there are some decent players in the Saudi league. You know, I don't really get this whole thing of, oh, if he goes to Saudi, he's not going to then get picked for the England team. I mean, he's not going to get picked for the England team anyway. Ivan Toney was way more likely to get picked for the England team, and he's gone to Saudi. You know? So I don't really understand this whole narrative. Ruben Neves has gone there. He still plays for Portugal. Who else? Mitrovic, obviously, still has gone there. He still plays for Serbia. Milinkovic-Savic still plays for Serbia. Joao Cancelo, I think, still plays for Portugal. You know, I get the narrative that the Saudi league is like a retirement league. I understand that, fair enough. But at the same time, yeah, like, I don't know. I don't think he has that many other options. But then you could argue Rashford sat at home, not in the matchday squad, earning 300 grand a week, effectively doing nothing. So it's a difficult one, isn't it? And it's the same as other players we've had in the past, like, you know, when Maguire nearly left the club but decided he didn't want to go. It all just depends on whether these people actually want to, you know, go and play football, or whether they're happy just to sit there and earn their money and do nothing. That's the big question, isn't it? So, yeah. Let's see what else we've got on today's show. So we spoke about Rashford, we spoke about Osimhen. Let's talk a little bit about two players who apparently are going to leave the club in January. So this is coming out from multiple different people. It seems to be a very well-briefed story this morning that apparently Manchester United are ready to let go of Harry Amas and Dan Gore in the January transfer window. Apparently, they've kind of opened the door to clubs to come in and loan them. Championship level clubs, I think, is what the general expectation is. I think this is good. I think, you know, there's this whole obsession in the fan base that, you know, Harry Amas should be starting every week for Man United, even though people have only seen him for like half an hour on a pre-season tour. The kid's 17. He should be out getting football in a less pressure cooker environment, you know, not in a team that's currently in a relegation battle. So I fully back loaning him out. And the main club apparently this morning that are linked to Harry Amas is Leicester. Obviously, that would be quite cool, I think. You know, a Premier League move for Harry Amas. I think that would be really good experience. There isn't really any kind of firm narratives on Dan Gore yet. It's quite quiet as to where he will go, but I imagine Dan Gore would probably be a championship level club. So yeah, we'll wait and see how that all progresses. But I wish them both all the best. I think Harry Amas definitely has a future at Manchester United. I just think at this moment in time, throwing him in that left wing back position is not a sensible option. It's not. I'm sorry. You know, we need somebody with a bit more experience there at the moment. Whether that's a Nuno Mendes, Milos Kerkez, whether that's a Alphonso Davies, Theo Hernandez, whoever. It needs to be someone with more experience, because, you know, you can't rely on a 17-year-old. Or it's not even rely. It's like you shouldn't be putting that much pressure on a 17-year-old to, you know, go and develop whilst also trying to get Man United out of a relegation battle. I just don't think that's a sensible option. But you can let me know. Maybe you disagree. Let's have a little look at the results of the poll then and see how we're getting on there. So the question was simple. Would you swap Rashford for Osimhen? 90% of people watching the video said yes. 10% of people said no. So, I mean, it's an absolute landslide in favour of Victor Osimhen, isn't it? And I would agree. I would definitely swap Rashford for Osimhen. I think Osimhen would actually suit our system. Yeah, I think it would be an interesting option, you know? Even if you just look at it fundamentally, right? Rashford doesn't even suit any of the positions in our team. He can't play as a central attacking midfielder, and he's not a number 9. He can only really play as a winger. And he's not going to be able to play as a wing-back because he doesn't defend. I mean, the argument's pretty much over, if you think of it like that. Whereas Osimhen is a number 9. That's the only position Osimhen can play, is a number 9. So you'd effectively go from having a player who's not training properly, who can't play in any of the positions that we have on the pitch because they don't suit his best attributes, which is effectively playing as a left winger. Or you can go and swap him for somebody who plays as a number 9, who scores goals. Like, yes, people will say, oh, he doesn't, Højlund doesn't get service, blah, blah, blah. I somewhat agree with that, but, I think at the same time, it was the same under Ronaldo when he was at Man United. He didn't get service and he still got 20 goals. It's all about what players do, what runs they make, what space they make. And I think Højlund isn't particularly great at that, to be honest. I think a lot of the time he does wait for the ball, or a lot of the time he is in the wrong positions, to be honest. Like if you watch Højlund, when they do put balls into the box, half the time he's not even in the box. So whereas Ronaldo would always be in those positions, half the time he wouldn't get the ball, but then the other time he would and he'd score. So I think this whole thing of being like, oh, well, there's no point signing attacking players because they won't get the ball is just a bit like, I don't know. I don't think that's really a solution, because the reason they don't get the ball is because Rashford doesn't pass the ball and he would effectively be going. And the reason they don't get the ball is because Garnacho doesn't pass the ball and he doesn't play anymore. The people who play in that position now are Bruno and Ahmad, both of which pass the ball. So hopefully things can change. But I would be interested in seeing that. Obviously, I'll keep you updated as and when we get more news on that. But I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. I will be live again this evening. My dogs are barking. Someone's at the door, so I better go and deal with that. Have a great day, everybody. Don't forget to drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe. I'll speak to you all later. Bye for now.